Alright, I'm going to make another demo here of what I think is some sort of crosshair radar in the game of Unreal Tournament 2004. The player we're going to be looking at, his current name is No Skills, but they're also known as all these other names, Crash, Pont, etc. When I met this person, his name was 313, but after I did a little research, one of his known names was OMA Infamous. Now, I want to show this beginning part here because I have an anti-cheat mutator on the server that shows me any alterations to the config file that has to do with their user settings. It's going to pop up here in a second. See, right, I'm playing against a couple of bots in my server right here, and he just joined. Okay, right here. Okay, see, he has gray star set to radar on. I just wanted to point that out, that's one of the non-default settings that he has set for his keyboard for gray star. So just right off the bat, we see that he has some sort of radar button on his controls. Now, I'm also we're going to be watching this in like quarter speed and half speed. And we're going to be watching this at a field of view of 25. Okay? So we're slowed way down and we're zoomed in. And what we're going to be looking at here is the influence that my dot has on this person's movements, based on what side my dot is on, from him, and if I'm pointing right at him, what his reaction movement is when my dot is on him. When it's not on one side or the other, and he knows which way to move away from it. So we're going to be watching what he does when my dot is on the right side, when my dot is on the left side, and when my dot is directly on him. Okay? So here we go. See, my dot is on the left. He started moving to the right. See, my dot is on the right, he goes to the left. My dot's on the left, he goes to the right. My dot's on the right, he goes to the left. See, now he's trying to go back the other way. Now he changed, as soon as my dot went over him, he changed direction and went the other way. He changed direction 4 times right there, and every single time he changed direction was when my mouse went from one side of him to the other. And if you pay attention, he does this during this entire match. The only thing that explains these movements is that he has something, I don't know what it is, I call it a crosshair radar, but he has something that tells him where my dot is when I'm pointing at him. Somehow his movements are influenced by how close my dot is to him, what side my dot is to him, and when my dot is directly on him. If my dot's on the right, he'll go to the left, or if I swipe over him, he'll slow down and then change direction right as I swipe over him. See, he's trying to go the other way. Now he's trying to go the other way. See, every single time I see him moving away from it. You know, I put up a demo trying to show this once already, but apparently it was not convincing enough because I showed it to a couple of players, and they still think that I'm just seeing things, that I'm going crazy here or something, that I've been playing this game for too long and I must be paranoid about cheaters or something. But I only see 3 players in the entire game do these movements. 3. And this is one of them. The guy I had in the demo before, that was another one. There's one other player that I see do these exact same movements in all the players in this game. That's it. Everybody else is, they have their own style of moving, which is what I'm used to playing. If I'm playing against somebody and he's using some name I don't recognize, but I recognize their movements based on how they play. Their movements are very recognizable if you play as somebody enough. And if you're good enough like me, where I can look at a person playing and I see the movement that they do, I can most of the time imitate the same movements that they do. If it's a dodge, a jump, or whatever. See, he's moving away from it. My dot gets close to him, he slows down, and he tries to go the other direction if I swipe over. If this isn't convincing, I really don't know what is. Because every time I see my dot go by him, he changes direction. Every time my dot is on him, and he's on the ground, he'll dodge away from it. But when he's in the air and my dot is like on him, you'll see his character like almost not know which direction to go. He'll like go this way and then go that way, this way, that way. He'll like go back and forth really fast a couple of times when I'm pointing right at him in midair. But when I'm pointing right at him when he's on the ground, you'll see him dodge away from it every time. See, he's drifting away, drifting away. I can understand how difficult it is to see this while you're playing, because when you're playing at a much faster, we're going at a quarter speed right here, and we're zoomed in about 75% of what you're supposed to be able to see. And even at this level of magnification, it's still kind of difficult to really see what they're doing. But it is a lot more obvious when they're in midair and when you're zoomed in and going slow motion like this. But you'll see there'll be a couple of times when he'll have my flag and he'll be right next to his flag and he'll supposed to try to score, but because my dot is in between him and his flag, he'll stop and go the other way because he doesn't want to go into my crosshair. And I swipe over him and he'll change direction. Another thing that makes this really difficult to see while playing somebody is the fact that the only time that you can spot this is when you are pointing at them and they are pointing at you and you're shooting at each other. Red flag taken. So if you're both really good shooters, you usually don't live very long when you're pointing at one another. Like, he's a pretty good shooter, I'm a decent shooter. So the time that you have to spot this particular movement is really short, because you only get the time that the two of you are fighting until one of you dies, and then you have to wait till the next fight to see what their movements are going to do. The only time you get a good, real long look at their movements is when you have a battle between each other and neither one of you gets killed. You get a good deal of time to watch their movements while you're shooting at them. See, he's moving away. Like, I see him moving away from my crosshair the entire time I'm trying to point at him. Blue flag taken. Red flag he's always moving away from my crosshair. Moving away. I swipe over him, he changes direction and moves away. So if I'm going crazy here and this is just a part of the game or something like that, then you might as well just take me and lock me up in an insane asylum or something, because I don't see any other explanation for these movements other than he is influenced by where my dot is. See how he kind of doesn't know which direction to go because I'm kind of beneath him and I'm almost right. I'm pretty much in line with him. When I'm in line with him like that, his character doesn't know which way to go. It wants to move away from my dot, but because it's right in line with him, it doesn't know which way to go because I'm constantly going, you know, swiping over him. Now, when you play this game and you're in midair like that, the only way you can change direction is if your fingers touch the buttons on the keyboard to move left or right. If you dodge jump, you'll go in a straight line unless you touch the movement buttons. See, he can't change direction like that unless he touches the button on the keyboard. That's not some visual effect on the game or something that I'm seeing that's not a radar. That's just some kind of part of the effect of the game. See, no, that's him moving his character with the keyboard. It is not some special effect that's a part of the game. This is him moving away from my dot with the movement buttons. See, why does he change direction like that? When I'm so close to him with my dot and I pass over him, when I pass from one side to the other, he changes direction. Why does he do that? Every time I swipe over him, unless he knows where I'm pointing. Why is he always moving in the opposite direction of my dot? Every damn time my dot is pointing at him. If I'm on the right side, he goes the other way. And he'll use the walls. Like if he knows that I'm gonna swipe over him soon, he'll go to the wall, and as soon as I swipe over him, he'll dodge off of the wall.
Red flag taken.
See, dodging away from it. My dot was on the left, he was on the right, he dodged to the right. See how he slows down and see, I can see it. I see this, and once you see it, they can't hide it anymore. It's like unless you've seen this before and you know what to look for when you're playing somebody at full speed at the field of view that you're supposed to play at, it is really, really difficult to see these movements because you have a split moment to see them when you're fighting. You get this tiny brief second or two to see what they do when you're shooting at them. And if they themselves are a particularly good shooter and they kill you quickly, then it's almost impossible to see because you never have enough time to look at them while you're pointing at them. You die too quickly. Which is the point. They want to be able to kill you before you kill them, so if they can avoid your crosshair to be shot by you, they have more time to kill you, basically. You know, it all has to do with giving them more opportunity to kill you. I really don't know what else to say or what else to show, because I see him moving away from my dot every single time I try to point at him. See, he stopped. See, he was going left. As soon as I spawned and my dot was there, his character slowed down and started going the other direction, even though that was the wrong direction. He should be going towards my flag right now. And as soon as I spawned and my dot was there, he slowed down and he went away from my flag. There's no reason to do that unless he's influenced by my dot right as I spawned, because he was going from right to left. As soon as I spawned and my dot was there and it was sensed by him, by whatever he's got, he stopped and went the opposite direction. Now, if that happened like once in like 6 or 10 kills or something like that every once in a while, that'd be one thing. But look, he's doing it every fucking time I point at him. Every time. There's maybe 2 times I kill him when he doesn't do those movements. Like 2 times. I think out of all these times I'm pointing at him, there's 2 times that look kind of like real, like he actually walked into my crosshair and I shot him. But look, as soon as I'm on that side of him, he changes direction. See, right there, it looked like he almost was going to walk into my crosshair, or he just changed direction too late and I was able to shoot him.
Red flag returned.
See, I'm on the right side, he
5
changed
minutes
direction.
warning.
See, he's trying to change direction because I'm about to swipe over him. You see that? How does he know to do that? Right as I swipe over him. And this is at a quarter speed. That means he's going right, left, really quickly at normal speed to do that. And he did it like with almost precision timing. How? How does he do that without having something that tells him where my dot is pointing? How can he do that? I don't know anybody but these 3 players I see doing this. There's only 3 players in this entire game I see move like this, and this is one of them. I showed the one other guy in the last demo that I put up, but apparently that one wasn't convincing enough because it was too short. But I'm making this nice long ass demo just to kind of prove my point. See, look, I swiped over him, he changed direction. I swiped over him, see how he was slowing down as my dot got closer and closer to him until it finally swiped over him, and then he changed direction just as I swiped over him? How do you explain that? How do you explain that? Every time I swipe over him, he changes direction. How do you explain that unless he's got something that is telling him where my dot is? I am not crazy and I'm not seeing things. There is some sort of something that is telling him where I am pointing, what side my dot is on. There's something that's influencing his movements based on where my dot is. You know, I've played a lot of different people in this game, especially in a one-on-one, and everybody has a style. You know, everybody's got their movement style. I have mine. Everybody who is a legit player has theirs. They have their style that they move to try to avoid being shot. That's what makes them a player. But these 3 players, all 3 of them do these exact same movements every time I point at them. I've never seen one player move like exactly the same as another player in this game. The only players I've seen do that are the bots, the AI bots that are programmed into this game. The bots that are programmed into this game have a radar that tells the computer where my dot is, and I've seen the bots in this game move away from my crosshair like this. They don't do it in midair because they don't jump, they just walk on the ground, but when they're walking on the ground they know when my dot gets next to them and they move away from it. The computer AI bots in this game are programmed to know where your crosshair is and move away from it. Now if that code is in the game already, what's to stop somebody from taking that code and using it to their advantage in a multiplayer battle like this? You know, it's funny how I've shown a lot of respectable players this, and they don't think a crosshair radar exists. They don't think it's possible to do something like this. So I was like, well, why are the bots can do it? If it's programmed into the bots, then why couldn't a person do the exact same thing? So the code is there. The bots already are coded to do this sort of thing. That's why bots are difficult to play in this game, because they have radars, they know where you're pointing, they know where you're at in the map, they have artificial aiming power to be able to shoot you really, really fast. It's called botting. But this isn't botting. This is radar. This is not radar like, oh, I can see where you are in the map kind of a radar. No, this is a radar that I call a crosshair radar, where they know where my dot is when I point at them, and they change direction. See? Look, now he's going the other way. Now he's trying to change direction and go the other way. See, look, he changed, trying to change direction. There's 3 times in a row right there, he changed direction at the precise time I changed direction with my mouse. How did he know to do that? That was not a visual effect part of the game or something. He had to press buttons on the keyboard to move from one way to the other back there. There is no other explanation for that other than he has some sort of a crosshair radar that's influencing his directions. There's no possible explanation for those movements right there other than a radar. This person has some sort of radar on button in his settings, and he is moving like that every time I point at him. Like he has something, some sort of radar that is telling him where I'm pointing. So we're gonna make this video nice and long, nice and lengthy, just to kind of, you know, try to prove my point here. You know, I had people say crosshair radar doesn't exist. Oh, Hacky, what you're seeing is bullshit. You've been playing this game too long. You're paranoid. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, here's what I see. I saw this after match after match after match after match of pointing at people and not being able to shoot them. I'd be shooting at players that I know are legit and I can hit them at times when I really need to hit them. But these 3 players, I have extremely difficult time hitting. And when you're playing at full speed at your normal field of view, it is very, very difficult to spot this, to see these movements, because you have about a second, a half a second to maybe 2 seconds maximum to see his movements when you're pointing at him. Because while you're pointing at each other, you're pretty much one of you is going to die fairly quickly. And between the time you see him and the time you die, that's all the time you get to see this. But once you see it, you know what to look for, so they can't hide it anymore. I saw it. The only way I could spot it is I had to take demo after demo after demo of when I was playing the players I knew were really difficult to hit. And I couldn't explain it. I was like, I kept telling myself and getting frustrated, like, why is it so hard to kill these people? So I started recording my games, and I started watching them in slow replay, in slow motion, and watching their movements while I was shooting at them. And this is what I saw. I saw them moving away from my dot every single time I tried to shoot them. There's no way in hell that this is all a coincidence. There's no way in hell that I'm seeing some sort of graphic effect that's a part of the game. No, this is a person moving with the keyboard or something. I don't know, maybe he's got something that's moving his character for him. Maybe it's not even him. Maybe he's not even using the keyboard. I don't know what it is. But what I do know is that he is influenced 100% where my dot is when I'm pointing at him. Hands down. So if you don't believe that there's some sort of crosshair radar out there, well, then I need an explanation for how he's able to move like this. Because I know no one else but two other people that I think have the same cheat that they're using. They're the only three people I know that do this. Everybody else I've played, they all feel real to me. They all feel like they're just playing their style. Because I could imitate most other players' style if I wanted to, but I don't because I have my own. This guy here, this is not a style. This is a hack. This is a cheat. This is some sort of bullshit that he's using to his advantage. Because, and it's funny, the players that I see that use this shit, they have a really hard time dying. They don't like to be killed. They get their rocks off by killing people, and they get really mad or frustrated if they get killed.
Red flag returned.
So that kind of attitude, it makes sense. They would probably use something that would make it so they can avoid being shot, which gives them more time to shoot you. The longer they can avoid your crosshair or avoid being shot, the more time they have to be able to shoot you. And when you don't have a translocator and all you can do is point at people, then your dot is always there. Like it has, your dot has to physically go onto them to shoot them. When you have the translocator, you can teleport yourself and your dot kind of moves from one spot to the other instantaneously. You see, so I could be pointing, somewhere else, and I could translocate, and when I translocate, my dot could be right on them. So the crosshair radar doesn't really work with the translocator. The translocator kind of neutralizes this crosshair radar. But the people that I see using this, they play with no translocator, and they play capture the flag, where you literally have to you have to be able to move and not get shot, and you have to be able to kill so you don't get shot and move the flag. So it makes sense, the kind of attitude and the game type that these players are playing, they would want something like this. And another thing that they all have in common is they all hate people that use artificial aiming software to shoot people for them, because they're actually shooting. This guy is actually aiming at me and pointing at me with his mouse and shooting at me. But I don't believe the movements that he is doing. The movements, the keyboard movements I see him doing, I do not believe are real. I don't think that it's him. I think he's got something that is moving him for him, or he's got something that is telling him where my dot is, and he's always just knows to move away from it. It's hard for me to believe that he's doing all these keyboard movements, but he could be. It's almost like if I had a laser and I was shining a laser in like if a laser beam was coming out of me that was always there, like, and that's where my dot is. Like if he could, if that was visible, then he would always know where to move away from my crosshair. See, look, every single time I swipe over him, man, he changes fucking direction. Every single time he dodges, if he's far enough away from my crosshair, he tries to dodge away from it. If my crosshair is right next to him, he tries to dodge through it. If he's, drifting through the air, you'll see him slow down as my dot gets closer to him. He'll slow down. See right there, he slowed down and changed direction. It's the same thing every fucking time I point at him. What kind of style is that? I want to. How do you train for something like that? How do you develop that kind of skill? See, I swiped over him and he changed direction. He's supposed to be going towards his flag, which was to the left. When my dot was up there on the left of him, he changed direction and went back towards where my base. Like, why did he do that? If he didn't have something that told him or showed him where I'm pointing. So yeah, explain to me these movements, dude. See, he's supposed to go into his flag, he stopped. See, he's supposed to go into his flag, he stopped. He didn't go and score until my dot was on the left side of him, and he could go to the right and not, you know, and that's the direction away from my crosshair, so he scored. 2 times he tried to score, but my dot was in between him and his flag, so he stopped. And he waited till I swiped over him and my dot was on the left side of him, then he finally went and scored. How did he know not to score 2 times in a row when my dot was in between him and his flag? Coincidence? Is every single time I see him do this a coincidence? See, he slows down. It's like there's maybe 2 kills, 2, maybe 3 tops out of all of these kills in this demo where it actually looks like he drifts into my crosshair or he walks into it, or it looks like a legitimate kill. Like there is very, very little. There's very little patience that I have for this anymore. Like, if you don't see what I see after watching this video, then I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm just gonna give up trying to show this to people. If you don't see them moving away from my dot and see he just changed direction, he just changed direction again, he just changed it. See, look, 3-4 times in a row right there, he changed direction right after I swiped over him. And he did it twice extremely fast. We're at a quarter speed right here, and he changed direction, boom, boom, that quickly, at a quarter speed. When I swiped over, he changed, swiped over, he changed, that quickly. You know how fast you would have to be able to do that if this was at normal speed? The coincidence right there is astronomical that he was able to change direction at the exact same time I changed direction with my mouse. See? Every single time. See, I was right up next to him and he dodged away from it. See, as my dot gets close to him, it influences him to slow down because he wants to, because if I swipe over him, he's going to want to change direction. So every time my dot starts to creep up on him, you'll see his character begin to slow their movement down. So they'll be able to change their direction as soon as my dot gets close enough. It's like as my dot gets close to him, that influences how fast he's moving away from my dot. Explain that one to me. He does that almost in every single time I point at him. Like there's maybe 5 or 6 times in this whole thing where he does not do that. He does it every time. See? Trying to go the other way, try going that way. And my dot's on the left, so he should be going to the right. Dot's on the right, he goes to the left. Whatever side he's on, he moves the opposite way. But as my dot creeps up and gets closer to him, he slows down and then he changes direction as I swipe over him. If my dot is on him and his character doesn't have a direction to go because I'm actually on him, he'll try to dodge off of it. He'll try to dodge away from it. He'll try to dodge through it, try to dodge away from it, and he'll always be moving away from it in midair.
30 seconds left.
See? He just changed direction. Just changed direction again. He's changing direction again. You see? Look at that. I mean, how the fuck do you explain that? Look, I swiped over him and I was just like an inch or 2 to the left of him. And as soon as I was on the left side of him, he stopped going left and went to the right. Away from my flag. See right here. See, as soon as I'm spawned and my dot is out there, he slows down and stops because he's going towards my dot.
20
like
seconds.
It's like I wasn't even spawned, so he's going towards my flag because I'm dead. But then I spawn and my dot is there again, and he'll be going towards it, and then because I had just spawned, he'll slow down and stop because if he kept going straight, he would have went into my crosshair. Which is kind of how this game is designed. You know, the spawn points are kind of designed so when you get killed and you spawn again, you're supposed to relatively kind of be pointing towards the guy that killed you, so you can kill them. It's kind of a characteristic of the game. Yeah.
10,
Let's see what it looks like at normal speed now, huh?
7, 6, 5,
Regular field of view.
3, 2, 1.
See how hard it is to see that?
Red flag taken.
See, look, I can see it. See, I see him changing direction at this normal speed. I see what he's doing because I know what to look for. I seen it. See, look, right there, twice he changed direction. Right as I swiped over him twice. He changed direction twice. See how difficult it is to see that when you're not in slow motion and you're not zoomed in? It's very, very difficult to see. The only way I was able to spot this for the first time is by watching a recording of this. Look at that. I wasn't able to score one time on him. He went from, what was it, like 0 caps all the way to 5. I wasn't able to cap once on him. And look, I still have a positive net. I got a plus 20. I've killed him 24 times more than he killed me. He has a negative 43 net. That means that he died 43 times more than he shot me. You know, it's not... He can be killed. That means that he's been killed a lot. He's been killed more times than he's actually killed other players. But he was able to score 5 caps, and I wasn't able to score even one time because of that radar that he's got. Now, after watching that, if you still think that I'm hallucinating and this is still bullshit, then I give up. Then you win the argument. That I must be crazy, I must be seeing things, and I don't know what the fuck that I'm talking about. If you still, after watching that, and you're not convinced. Because there's nothing else that explains that kind of shit other than some sort of what I call CrossHair Radar.